and I don't want it to be blurry. I'm gonna start over. Because y'all said that it was blurry. So I was only one slide in, so that's fine. It wasn't blurry. Maybe it's just okay. So if it was blurry to you guys, then maybe it was your phone. You may have to refresh. I'm not sure because some people are saying it's not blurry at all. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna run through this list again. All right, so this first page is just a brief overview of the process that you're going to take to get your bankruptcy deleted. So that's requesting your consumer reports from LexisNexis, SageStream, and ARS, getting your bankruptcy deleted from those third-party agencies, sending a letter to the courthouse so that you can eliminate that. Send a letter to the credit bureaus requesting information on your bankruptcy, meaning that you are not disputing your bankruptcy in step 4. And again, I will go over the details of this in just a second. Step 5 is place bankruptcy into dispute with the credit bureau. Step 6 is to follow up if needed. So if it's not deleted, you will of course follow up. And then step 7 is the CFPB report. Do not think that you can skip directly to 4, 5, 6, and 7 without doing the top 3 or whichever steps. Make sure that you are not skipping any step because you want to make sure that you cover every single base when you are disputing a bankruptcy. It's a tedious process. Follow it through. I cannot stress that enough. And then step 8 is to get items included in BK deleted. Okay, so step 1 is to request your consumer report. So the top 3 data aggregators for your bankruptcy is going to be LexisNexis, SageStream, and ARS. These are all third-party reporting agencies that have a consumer report on you. So they are all considered third-party credit bureaus, or I'm sorry, third-party credit agencies, right? So how you request those is for LexisNexis, you will go to that site, consumer.risk.lexisnexis.com/request. For SageStream, you will go to sagestreamllc.com/consumer-report. For ARS, unfortunately, they do not let you request your report online. You have to either write them or call them. So there is their address, and then the letter below is literally what you can send directly to the ARS address to get a copy of your consumer report. So it literally just says, please provide me with a consumer disclosure of all information collected and retained by your company. Enclosed is a copy of my driver's license to verify my identity. And then you would just fill out your full name, your SSN, and yes, it has to be your full SSN number, your current address, your telephone. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Sincerely, John Smith. So this is just a letter of you requesting your ARS report because they do not let you put the request in online. There is also no time limit in which you can dispute your bankruptcy. I wanted to get that out the way as well. The second that is discharged or dismissed, you may begin to dispute. Of course, you can't dispute it while you're in the process and while it's still like open and stuff like that. But the second that is discharged or dismissed, you may begin to dispute your bankruptcy. So again, step 1, make sure that you get all of these consumer reports. You will notice that Pacer is not on here. The reason why is because Pacer is not a third-party agency. Pacer is an online courthouse that is literally just like the courthouse. So the credit bureaus cannot get your information from Pacer by law because they are a for-profit company. They cannot go and use public information against you to resell, basically. So Pacer, you definitely can get your bankruptcy record. You can look at your bankruptcy record on pacer.gov. And the best thing to do with that is to compare your record to your credit report. So of course, if you find a discrepancy in the way that Pacer is reporting your bankruptcy and then versus, your credit report, then you can dispute that for inconsistencies or inaccuracies on the credit bureaus. But in terms of getting it deleted, if you do not have any inaccurate records from Pacer versus the credit bureaus, then you really don't have a foot to stand on if you're not doing it this way. It's very rare that there are a lot of inaccuracies on your bankruptcy report because, again, all they have to have is the city and state that you filed bankruptcy in, the judge name, the date. So of course, if that information is wrong, you can definitely dispute that. But the way that I am describing a disputing is to just actually dispute it with the bureaus and stuff like that. Okay, so no, you don't have to include your signature on any letter. You just type your name. All right. So then step 2, challenge bankruptcy with the third party agencies. So on the screen, you can use this letter, you can reword it. This is simply just a dispute to the third party agency. So let's say you got your LexisNexis report or your SageStream report or your ARS report, and you determine that they are housing your bankruptcy. You can use this same letter for each company. Now, of course, at the top, I do have LexisNexis address. If you are sending this letter to SageStream, you need to, of course, change the address to SageStream's address or ARS address, right? So the letter literally just says, I'm challenging the validity of this alleged bankruptcy you have listed on my reports. I recently challenged this same account with the credit bureaus, and they came back stating that they have verified this item with LexisNexis. I have went to the courthouse, and they have also stated that they did not verify this information. Please send me whatever documents of information you have personally used to verify this alleged bankruptcy immediately. If you cannot produce such documents, this bankruptcy needs to be removed from my file as it is defaming my character. Right? So this is just a third party agency dispute letter. You will send this to LexisNexis, ARS, or SageStream, whichever one has your bankruptcy listed on your consumer report from their company. This is why I told you guys to request your consumer reports first to determine which third party agencies that you even have to send this letter to. Let's say your bankruptcy is reporting on ARS and LexisNexis. You would then send this letter to both ARS and LexisNexis, right? Yes, this is all included in my bankruptcy bundle online. Okay. So then the next step is send a letter to the courthouse. So this one is just kind of like a cover all bases letter. Because I like to include everything when I go to the bureaus to invalidate them on every step of the way. I like for you guys to already have your courthouse letter with you so that you can include it in your dispute. So this letter goes to your local courthouse or whatever courthouse filed your bankruptcy. And it literally just says, to whom it may concern, I have a bankruptcy showing on my credit report. I asked the credit bureau to validate the information, and they claimed is verified through you. Can you please confirm or deny that your office reported this bankruptcy to the credit bureaus? I was not aware that the U.S. courts reported information with the credit bureaus. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I've enclosed a self-addressed stamped envelope for your convenience. Please send your response back to the above address. So again, this goes to the courthouse or the courthouse that filed your bankruptcy. With this letter, you must include a SAS, which is a self-addressed stamped envelope. For those of you who are not familiar with what a SAS letter is, it's literally just an envelope inside of an envelope, right? That has already have your information filled out. Let me find an example, because I want to make sure that you guys send this, because they most likely will not reply if you do not include a SAS. So it's super important for you guys to include that. Do not skip this step. I have a picture right here. All right, so here is an example of what a self-addressed stamped envelope is. So you know how when you receive a bill, they already include an envelope with your name and their address and stuff already filled out, and it'll also already include a stamp, to the point where all you have to do is put your check or put your money in there and put it in the mailbox. That's the same ideology that you want to send to the courthouse, because they're known for not responding back if you do not include a SAS. So you literally will just put your name in the middle, your address, so because it's coming to you, and you will put from them, so that it's already filled out, and you would also include a stamp. So there is no excuse why they can't just email or mail the letter back to you, right? So this is a SAS. Make sure you include that inside the envelope of your courthouse letter, your dispute letter to the courthouse. Okay. And then let's get back to the presentation. Okay. All right. So again, this is the letter that you send to the courthouse, included with a SAS, which is what I just showed you guys, right? So then now, so far, to kind of catch you guys up, what you have done is requested all of your consumer reports from LexisNexis, ARS, and SageStream. It usually takes them about 7 to 10 business days to get your consumer report to you in mail. Once you get your consumer reports in mail, I need you to go through all 3 of them to determine which ones are reporting your bankruptcy. It will literally have your bankruptcy information, everything included with your bankruptcy on that report. So let's just say you determine that LexisNexis is the only third-party agencies that's reporting your bankruptcy, right? You would then send this letter to LexisNexis, I'm going down. I'm going too fast. You would then send this letter to LexisNexis challenging your bankruptcy. And then you can do the next step on the same day as you send this letter, which is sending the Courthouse letter included with a SAS envelope, right? Or a SAS. Now, this is kind of where it's important for you guys to listen, because this next step is to the credit bureaus, right? This is not placing the item into dispute. In fact, I want to read this letter, and so I can explain to you the purpose of this letter. It literally says, you are listing a bankruptcy on my credit report, and I am wondering what method you use to retrieve such information. Please note, I am not disputing this account. I am only wanting to know which methods you have used to verify such information on my credit file. Please refrain from responding with a typical verify response. I am not disputing such information, right? So the reason you're sending this letter is because what you're wanting the bureaus to do is to reveal their method of verification that they use to verify your bankruptcy. This is not asking them anything out the blue. This is not asking them anything that's not rightfully your information in the eyes of the FCRA. It's very, 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 very important that you are not placing this bankruptcy into dispute at this point. You should not be disputing the bankruptcy at this point. What the biggest mistake that people make when they are trying to dispute their bankruptcy is trying to go directly to the credit bureaus first. You should not do that. What you should do is have them reveal their source. You already have letters in motion to invalidate their source, i.e. LexisNexis letter, the Courthouse letter, so that by the time the credit bureaus respond, because they're going to respond and say LexisNexis or whatever, whoever they verified it through, then you can have within 5 business days a follow-up invalidating their answer, right? So this letter is literally just it's a literally method of verification letter for a bankruptcy. And you send this, of course, you send a copy of your ID, and you do not have to sign this letter. It's a simple letter. Simple. So all of these letters so far, you send the letter to LexisNexis, you sending the letter to the Courthouse, and you sending the first letter to the credit bureaus, they can all be done on the same day or like within the same time frame. You don't have to wait a certain amount of days. The only waiting up until this point is you to wait for like LexisNexis, ARS, and SageStream to send you your consumer report, which again usually takes about 7 to 10 days. So that's pretty much the only waiting up until this point. Now, this next step, step 5, place the bankruptcy into dispute officially. Before we even go over this letter should not even leave your house or your printer until the bureaus have responded back to the letter before, the prior letter, this letter. Before you send step 5, you should have received a response from the credit bureaus. You should have received a response from LexisNexis and the Courthouse. Is that clear? Make sure you are not placing this bankruptcy into dispute until you have all of the ammo that you need in your weapon. Do not, I'm sorry, I have to repeat this because this is a critical mistake that people make. Do not place your bankruptcy into dispute until you already have the information that you should have been retrieving from the prior letters. Do not do it. So we're just going to assume that you have the response from LexisNexis and the bankruptcy was deleted. We're going to assume that you have your Courthouse letter, and we're going to assume that you have a response from the credit bureaus back from the step 5 letter or the step 4 letter. So probably 45, even 60, or maybe it depends. Like we're just gonna say 60 days has passed since you sent this letter, the first letter to the credit bureaus. All right. So this is where you officially place your bankruptcies into dispute with the credit bureaus. Let's go over this letter. To whom it may concern, and you put the date that you sent this letter. And this, again, I want to be very clear in stating, when you are trying to dispute a public record, your records will matter. So make sure you are very tedious and strategic in the way in which you keep your information. Make sure you know the dates that you sent the letters and all of that, because this will all make sense, especially at the end. But so on the date that you sent the first bankruptcy letter to the credit bureaus, where you were just asking their method of verification, I asked you to disclose your method of verification on this alleged bankruptcy you are reporting. You then replied to me with the enclosed letter claiming that the bankruptcy was verified by, and let's say when you got your response back from this letter, the credit bureau sent you a letter stating that they verified your bankruptcy through LexisNexis, or if they say the bankruptcy court, you whichever doesn't apply, you erase. So if they verified your bankruptcy through LexisNexis, you would erase bankruptcy court, all of ARS station, you would erase all of those. Right? Appalled by that information, I went directly to, and this parentheses should match the one prior. So if this answer is LexisNexis, this answer should be LexisNexis. If this answer is bankruptcy court, this answer should be bankruptcy court, right? So anyways, appalled by that information, I went directly to LexisNexis, and in response to my inquiry, they cannot verify this information themselves, therefore have taken the liberty to delete this bankruptcy from their records. This would mean this bankruptcy is by law considered unverified and needs to be deleted from my credit report immediately. I am aware the FCRA states the following: a CRA must remove or correct inaccurate or unverified information from its files, usually within 30 days after you dispute it. However, the CRA is not required to remove accurate data from your file unless it is outdated, as described below, or cannot be verified. So that's a copy and paste directly out of the FCRA laws, by the way. And that's in parentheses and written like that for a reason. I have enclosed their letter for your inspection. Please delete this item from my credit report as it is not verified. The OCR and Oscar verifying this information is not recognized as proper validation. Please send me an updated copy of my report once the bankruptcy is deleted. Right? So this is the official letter that you are placing the bankruptcy into dispute. Along with this letter, and it's important, I need you to send a copy of the letter that LexisNexis deleted the bankruptcy, a copy of the letter that you got back from the courthouse stating that they don't communicate with the credit bureaus, or if let's say you disputed with ARS or SageStream or whatever, and they deleted it, you will send that copy. So along with this letter will be proof that the item was deleted or unverified through the courthouse. That's the important part of this letter. Right? A lot of times the bankruptcy is deleted after this point. A lot of times it is. And even the feedback that I've been seeing in the group, people were saying that this is pretty much where they had to stop. But we all know it does, like everyone's situation is different, and some people did have to go further. So if your bankruptcy is not deleted after this letter, then you need to send this letter, which is a follow-up letter, a bureau follow-up letter. To whom it may concern, I recently asked you to verify information contained in my credit file in which I have provided proof that the method you used to allegedly verify this item was invalid. Item in question, bankruptcy. On date you sent the second bankruptcy letter, which is the one that you officially placed it into dispute, which is this one. I sent you notice that your process was not valid due to me going directly to the company and them not being able to verify the item. You then replied and stated that it was still verified without sending me any documentation or proof of an actual investigation. I know per the FCRA, I have to give you 30 days to correct a known mistake within my credit file. And at this point, you have been granted that time. This is a formal notification that I plan on filing a complaint with the CFPB and BBB against your company if this bankruptcy is not deleted from my credit report immediately. This is my last warning. Please delete this unverified information as you may have mixed or merged my credit file. Right? And I want to address one quick question. What if the item is not deleted from LexisNexis as a result of that first letter? You have to remember, guys, LexisNexis is just like disputing with the credit bureau. So if they do not delete it your first round, which sometimes LexisNexis doesn't delete it your first round, you need to send a method of verification letter. Because even them, they can either say they got the information from the courthouse, etc. And guess what? You already got your courthouse letter to prove that they don't communicate with LexisNexis or they don't communicate with the credit bureaus, etc. Right? So this is why I have you guys cover all of your bases, solely dependent on how the bureaus and third-party agencies like LexisNexis, ARS, and SageStream are known to respond, right? One other thing, do not waste your time trying to freeze your LexisNexis, trying to freeze your ARS and all of that, thinking that that is going to get your bankruptcy deleted or prevent the credit bureaus from accessing their information. When you suppress your LexisNexis or any other third-party agency, you're not suppressing it from the credit bureaus. You're suppressing it from third-party entities who will try to pull your consumer reports. That's not doing anything in terms of getting your bankruptcy deleted if LexisNexis was the source, because they don't have to, it's not going to be hidden from the credit bureau. So don't waste your time. Get it deleted from LexisNexis so that you can invalidate the credit bureau's source, right? So yeah, this is the follow-up letter that you need to send if the item comes back verified with the bank from the credit bureaus. Okay, so then the next step, let's say they respond to this letter, the credit bureaus, and state that the item is still verified, which sometimes they will. As you noticed, or as you've seen in this letter, you already told them that this was your final try. This is the last warning. If they do not respond with the item is deleted or respond with how they verify an accurate verifiable source, then they need to delete it. If they don't, then you say you were going to file a CFPB report, right? So we weren't bluffing. We really will file a CFPB report. And at this point, just to kind of make it make sense, technically speaking, if they cannot verify this item, then it is considered unverified. If the bank or the credit bureaus can't go to Pacer and they can't go to the courthouse, right? So all public records technically are a matter of third-party information. So it's not like a collection or a charge-off where the credit bureaus have access to the collection agency who owns the debt now, or even to the original creditor who, of course, originally had the contract with you and stuff like that. When it comes to public records, the credit bureaus are at the mercy of these little small third-party agencies that go and aggregate the data to them, right? So if you're getting this public record deleted off these third-party agencies, then the credit bureaus do not have a source. The courthouse will tell you in a quickness that they don't even communicate with the bureaus because by law, they cannot do so. TransUnion can't go to your local courthouse and say, hey, did LaShonda file bankruptcy? It's against the law. They can't do that, right? So that's why they have to have data aggregators like LexisNexis, ARS, and SageStream to do the dirty work for them. Because the credit bureaus are a for-profit company, no different from Walmart, McDonald's, all of that, they can't use public information to their advantage and then sell it, because that's all they do with their information on your credit report, right? So the courthouse is out. They can't do that. So if they can prove that they verified this through another company, and honestly, I've seen them respond to, after you've gotten the item deleted off LexisNexis, they respond and say, well, ARS was our source. I've seen that. But guess what? Oh, ARS is you guys' source? I've already contacted them. Here's the proof. So you want to make sure that you cover every base when it comes to bankruptcies, because the credit bureaus will try to hold on to this information or try to say, no, we verified this, etc. But technically speaking, how is it verified? If your source determined that they couldn't verify and they got it and it was deleted from them, then what else? What's next, right? And when you disputing with the third-party agencies like LexisNexis, I'm just going to say third-party agencies, I don't feel like keep naming them. It's much easier to dispute with them than the big three, right? So when you dispute with LexisNexis, like honestly, maybe the small change, they may reply back saying that it was verified, but as soon as you kind of press up on them and ask them their method of verification and stuff, usually the LexisNexis, they'll run. They'll be like, you know what? It ain't even worth it. Hold on. They won't even really fight with you. So it's much easier to get these items deleted from the third-party agencies than you probably think, right? The hardest thing is the bureaus, getting the bureaus to kind of go back on their word and basically admit that they're wrong and delete it. Now, don't sleep on this method though, because if you search bankruptcy in a group right now, within the last week, I done seen 3 different people get bankruptcies deleted just based on this method. But they are people who follow the steps and made sure that they covered every base, right? So anyways, let's get to the CFPB report, because again, I do have people that had to take it all the way to the CFPB, right? Like, it wasn't just a threat. Now, when you go to the CFPB, I went step by step so that I can show you exactly how you should file this particular report, right? So you go to consumerfinance.gov/complaint. The first thing you're going to see is number one, the screenshot number one right here. And you're going to push, of course, start your complaint, which is right here. The next step is they're going to ask you, what is this complaint about? You need to choose the second option, which is credit reporting, credit repair services, other credit person, whatever, that one. What type of credit reporting product? You would select the first option, which is credit reporting, right? So then it takes you to this screen. What type of problem are you having? You select the second option, which is a problem with a credit reporting company's investigation into an existing problem. I want to pause right here. A lot of people were choosing the first one, which says incorrect information on your credit report, and it says wrong address, fraud, incorrectly shows account still open. Do not choose that option for this bankruptcy. It's very specific. Choose the second one that says it was a problem with their investigation, because remember, this whole process we've been collecting our receipts to show that the credit bureaus did not even do a full investigation, or they're just falsely verifying this item. Make sure you choose the second option. The second you choose the first option, nothing that you say next will matter. So the second option. And then which best describes your problem, choose the third one, and that says their investigation did not fix an error on your report, because at this point the account is technically unverified and it's an error. It's wrong information. Have you already tried to fix this problem with the company? You push yes, because you have already went to the credit bureaus 3 times at this point. And then the next screen is basically them asking you what happened. I hope you guys can see what I wrote. You may have to screenshot and zoom in. You don't have to write the exact words that I wrote, but make sure it kind of mirrors something like this. Pretty much you're summarizing all of the steps that you've taken up until this point. So what I wrote was, on date you sent BK letter 1, I sent, and you would okay, let me make it make sense. You need to file, if let's say none of the credit bureaus deleted the bankruptcy, you need to file three different complaints. So this says I sent TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. You would of course eliminate that to down to 1. A letter disputing the validity of the bankruptcy they are reporting on my credit report. They responded with the letter stating that they verified this item through LexisNexis. I went directly to LexisNexis. It's blurry. Can you see it? Is this better? I didn't know I could zoom in like that. I zoomed in on step 4. Okay. So this is just a summary of the process that you've taken thus far. The whole point of this summary is you need to basically act like you are in court and you're arguing your case. Like, tell them every single step that you've made. Honestly, the more detailed this is, the better, in terms of the dates that you sent the item, the dates that they respond. Like, you want to make it very clear, cut, and dry, every step that you've taken and how the bureaus responded to all of your steps, right? So this is just an example of the letter that you can write. It says, on date you sent BK letter 1, I sent TransUnion a letter disputing the validity of the bankruptcy they are reporting on my credit report. They responded with the letter stating that they verified this item through LexisNexis. I went directly to LexisNexis to dispute the item in question, and LexisNexis could not verify this item, so they deleted it from their database. I then went to TransUnion on date you sent the BK letter 2 and showed them the deleted bankruptcy from LexisNexis, informing them that if they could not reveal how they truly verified this item, then it needs to be deleted according to the FCRA. They have once again refused to delete this item, which is imploding on my ability to purchase a home and causing me to pay thousands more in interest every year. This item needs to be deleted from my credit report if it cannot be verified within 30 days, right? So this is, again, just an example. And honestly, on this step, I don't want you guys to send this word for word like I sent it. Like, add your little flair. So it don't got to be too much, but add some. If you got to add another sentence or something like that, right? Because I don't want them to scan it in their system and notice that it's the same the same complaint. So be strategic in a way that what this whole point is. This is just an example, is for you to describe the steps that you've taken to ensure that the items that's reported to the credit bureaus are accurate, right? The CFPB, their whole purpose in this is think of them like the principal, and you're in school. And you've seen a student misbehaving, or maybe even seen a teacher do something inappropriate. You go to the principal to argue your case, and the principal has to then determine the disciplinary actions that they're going to take. That is the role that the CFPB plays over the credit bureaus. I always say that they're like the principal to the credit bureau. So it's literally you going to tell on them. And when you are telling on someone, you need to make sure that everything you saying, it can be proven, right? So again, this is just an example. Also, it's going to ask you, let me see if you guys can see this. At the bottom, it's going to say, what would be a fair resolution to this issue? You need to clearly state, I need to delete it off my credit report, or to delete this bankruptcy off my credit, whatever. Make sure that you tell them what resolution that you want. I've seen so many people skip this box and then wonder why the item would. No, you need to be very clear in stating they need to delete this off my report, right? So then the next screen is real important. I'm so happy I can zoom in. I did not know I can do that, y'all. Oh, hold on. Okay, this screen, step 5. It's going to give you the option, and it says optional, but this is not optional, to upload all of the files that basically prove your case. Remember when I told you guys, it's very imperative throughout this process that you keep all of your receipts, keep a copy of all of the letters that they send you, all of the letters that you sent them, everything. This is where you upload all of these receipts. I need you to upload a copy of the first letter you sent, their response, the letter that you sent LexisNexis, them deleting the item, the letter that you sent back to the bureaus informing them that the item was deleted, the item that they sent back. You get what I'm saying? Every single thing, or every single time you disputed this item, and every single time the credit bureaus responded, it needs to be uploaded. Yes, it does say optional, but this is not an option. It's not an option for you guys. If you have a bankruptcy, you need to absolutely upload everything, because if you don't upload proof, the credit bureaus are only going to respond to the CFPB basically that you're lying. In so many words, they're going to say you're lying. So make sure you are uploading all of your receipts, right? Whenever you get a response from the credit bureaus, just make it a habit of taking a picture of it and emailing it to yourself, right? So that you always have it. You can lose paper, all of that. Just take a quick picture or scan it, whatever you have to do, so that you can save the responses or save this information. And then step 6, this is another important part. So it says, what company is this complaint about? I use TransUnion for this example, and it said it'll ask you, like, we need this information to help the company find you. You could choose which one I really want you guys to choose all 3, where it says social security number, your name, and your date of birth. I think you guys should check all of them, because you don't want to leave any room for the bureaus to reply and state they can't find your file. And that's what they will do. So I don't know why I didn't select them all in the screenshots, but I want you guys to select all 3 of these, so that it's no confusion as to who they're talking about, if they can find you, etc. Right? So, and then it says, do you want to complain about another company? Yes. You would then do this same method and put Experian. And then, yes, you would then do the same method and put Equifax, right? You need to file 3 different complaints per each credit bureau. Now, let's say, and this is what I've been noticing that has been happening too. They'll delete the bankruptcy, let's say, off they'll delete the bankruptcy, let's say, off TransUnion, and maybe even Experian, but Equifax is still remaining. Well, in that case, this whole complaint should be tailored around Equifax. Or let's say they deleted it from Experian, but TransUnion and Equifax is remaining. Well, of course, you wouldn't file the complaint with TransUnion. If TransUnion deleted your bankruptcy, you would then file it to the other 2 credit bureaus, right? So this is just whichever company is still remaining. Oh, by the way, when you send the courthouse letter, I don't know if I mentioned this, but you can actually go to your local courthouse and ask them the information, ask them to print you off documentation with their on their company letterhead to state that they don't respond to the bureaus. And they will do that. A lot of people do that. I meant to mention that. All right. And so as you can see, that's pretty much it. But I wanted to address one thing. Number 8 is get items included in BK deleted. Once your bankruptcy is deleted from your credit report, you know, all of those accounts that says included in bankruptcy, those old credit cards or loans and stuff like that, you would then dispute those the same exact way that you dispute any other charged off account. And if you don't know how to dispute a charged off account, I have an entire video on YouTube explaining how to dispute a charged off account. Do not even try to dispute those items before the bankruptcy is deleted, right? And another thing, you can actually write a letter after you get your bankruptcy deleted. You can write a letter stating you have, let's say you have 5 credit card accounts that says included in bankruptcy. You're reporting that this item was included in bankruptcy and there's no bankruptcy on my credit report. Therefore, you need to delete these items. That get a lot of deletions that was included in bankruptcies, right? But this whole purpose of this presentation was to show you guys how to properly dispute a bankruptcy. But the whole thing is do not dispute the accounts that's included in the bankruptcy until after the bankruptcy is deleted, and then you can dispute those items. Your biggest bet is to delete the bankruptcy first and then go after those items. If you do not live near your courthouse, just write them a letter. But if you do live near them, you can definitely just go in person. If they're open since COVID, I don't know, but usually you can go and request this, the proof. All right. So that is how you dispute a bankruptcy. I don't know if that seems tedious to you guys. It's tedious in the sense that you have to make sure like never before that you keep all of your records and make sure you follow these steps in order and not skip any steps, right? That's the most important part. So I'm going to end this broadcast and I'm going to go live from Facebook and take questions. I'm going to end it so that people can go back and watch this broadcast without having a super lengthy video. It's already 46 or 50 minutes. So I will meet you guys on Facebook if you have any particular questions or whatever. Let me end this and I'll meet you guys on Facebook.